The streets of New York were alive with the hum of the city. Horns blared, conversations blended into an unrecognizable murmur, and the chill of late autumn carried the scent of roasted chestnuts from a nearby vendor. Jennifer Lawrence pulled her coat tighter around her as she walked, blending into the crowd. She had always loved the energy of the city, the rawness, the unpredictability. It was a place where anything could happen, and today, something truly unexpected did. As she crossed a busy intersection, she noticed a small crowd gathered near a subway entrance. Their attention was fixed on a man sitting on the pavement, surrounded by scattered sheets of paper and a wooden box filled with charcoal pencils. He was sketching. Jennifer slowed her pace, curious. His hands moved swiftly, effortlessly, as if the strokes of charcoal were guided by instinct rather than thought. The faces he drew were stunning, full of life, emotion, and depth. She stepped closer, watching as he finished shading the soft contours of a woman's face. The details were breathtaking, every shadow, every highlight perfectly placed. The man, probably in his late 50s, had a scruffy beard and deep lines etched into his face. His clothes were worn, his fingers stained with charcoal, but his eyes held something powerful. Jennifer knelt down beside him. "These are incredible," she said softly. He looked up, startled, then offered a small smile. "Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse but kind. "How long have you been doing this?" she asked. He chuckled. "My whole life, but life doesn't always go the way you plan." She nodded, understanding more than she let on. Hollywood had given her success, but she knew what it was like to struggle, to wonder if you were good enough, if the world would ever truly see you. She glanced down at the sketches again and noticed one of herself. It was unmistakable, the way he had captured her expression, the tiny details in her eyes. She picked it up carefully. "You drew me?" she asked. He hesitated, then nodded. "I draw people who inspire me," he said simply. Jennifer felt a lump in her throat. "How much for this?" she asked. He waved his hand dismissively. "No charge." She shook her head. "No way. This is art, and art deserves to be valued." She reached into her bag, pulled out her wallet, and handed him a few $100 bills. His eyes widened in disbelief. This, this is too much," he stammered. She smiled. "Not for what you do." A pause. Then for the first time, his eyes glistened with something deeper than gratitude. Recognition. Someone had truly seen him. As she stood, an idea struck her. "You know," she said, "I have some friends in the art world, galleries, collectors. I think they'd love to see your work." His hands trembled slightly. "You really think so?" "I know so." Over the next few weeks, Jennifer stayed true to her word. She reached out to people she knew, shared the artist's story, and made sure his work was seen. And soon, the man who had once been sketching on the sidewalk had his own small gallery exhibit. His portraits displayed under soft lighting, people marveling at the details, the life in each stroke. Jennifer attended the opening night, watching as he greeted guests, his once worn clothes replaced with a sharp suit, his hands now shaking not from uncertainty, but from excitement. As she looked around the room, she noticed something familiar, a framed sketch of herself hanging near the entrance, the same one he had drawn that day on the street. She smiled. Sometimes all it took was for one person to truly see you, and sometimes that was enough to change everything.